I am Braden Roberts, your Tutor Tobago officer, and I am pleased to welcome you all to our 83rd annual Tobago Teachers Get Together. At this panel discussion, we will be discussing the Genesis Part 2, where we explore the transition from inception to where we are now. At this panel discussion, we have joining me a stalwart, our 83rd annual Tobago Teacher Get Together icon, Miss Rosalind Moore-Allen. She was actually the first, or is the first chairman of the Tobago district, and that would have been in the early 1980s. She was also part of the Conference of Delegates, a delegate also to the General Council and other standing committees. To my right, we have Miss Annette Neptune Henry. She was also a former chairman of the district in the year 2011 to 2013. And to my extreme left, Mr. Philip Rochford, also a former chairman of the Tobago district in 2010. Our panelists here, as you realize, are all chairmen who have a key role to play in the functioning of a district, and more so in the pulling off of a Tobago Teachers Get Together. So again, welcome you all to our discussion, and we look at the transitioning, where this year we focused, as our team highlights, a comprehensive agenda for the health, the financial and pedagogical well-being of teachers. So panelists, we get right into it. Now, we have had, over the years, various focus, where we would have specific team to treat with the impact, the feeling of teachers based on the complaints or the joy or what we are experiencing in the classroom. Now, to start off this discussion, and I'll allow you all to, before answering the question, give a little feedback on yourselves and so forth. To start off discussion, we are going to look at, in your time at the helm, what were some of the issues? Because right now we know 4% on everybody's mind and they're disappointed with the negotiation and so forth, which we have been sending out a series of flyers, videos, explaining to the teachers what would have happened with negotiations this time around. But we are hoping that we are able to get over the feeling of negotiation and get back to the duty of ensuring that we do our best by our students. So we have salary negotiations as a current issue now. I will ask of you all to just highlight some of the significant issues teachers would have been faced with back when you all were at the helm as chairman, and in what way we would have used Teachers Get Together to ease some of those challenges. So if I may, I would start with our icon, Miss Rosalind Moore-Allen, to my left.
Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, teachers. Back then, in the early days, one of the challenges teachers had, and we still continue to have, as you say, salary negotiations. I could remember, I worked for many years, and my salary did not pass $5,000. So you can imagine what it was back then, because now things are a little better. So teachers always had that issue to grapple with, the quality of output. We felt that we were not properly remunerated. That was one issue. Teachers were always called upon to do co-curricular and extracurricular activities. And during times when there was industrial action was called for, teachers realized that we had to pull back. We had to just, do the basic. We had to pressure the system, pressure our employees to raise the standard and to recognize our worth and contribution. In the early years of Tobago Teachers Get Together, laborers were few. Voluntarism was a problem. So it was the steering committee that carried the weight, carried the strain of organizing and planning and getting teachers involved, etc. And as Braden said, The themes varied from year to year, and because they varied, we had to source speakers relevant to the issues. So that was the situation back then. So as teachers, we had to do the classroom work and still function as parents, as everything else, in the community. In the area of the district, Tobago district, a challenge I would say we had one Mr. Ronnie Dumas who was a chairman for many years, and he was quite a visionary, and I know he was very strategic. And he always wanted, in Tobago, the teachers, he wanted us to have a Tobago Teachers Center, And that was an issue we had with management, with the authorities, with our counterparts in Trinidad. I could remember when Mr. Clyde Pumel was president of tutor, there was a fallout. They threatened to withhold subvention, etc. But we persevered, and even while we didn't get the piece of land that we were looking at, which was at Lowlands, in the end, we still have the property now along the highway there, where we will have our teacher center. So I'll say that much for now. So.
And yes, indeed, we have been looking forward to our Tobago Teacher Center even to today. Unfortunately, based on the developments and the suitability of the land that we have at the Colonel Highway there, we would have had challenges in starting off any works at that land. However, we have been in negotiations with the THA to see how best we could have either a land swap, or we may need to renegotiate or reapproach to countries to get the necessary approvals. So teachers, the Tobago Teacher Center is not something that is lost upon us. We are grateful now that we at least have the Trinidad Teacher Center, which development work will continue over time and will further expand. However, though, I would also want, from Miss being in the early 1980s, where we had the negotiations and the $5,000 salary a month, now we'll move now to Mr. Rochford, who would have been there in the early 2010, 2011, 2009 period on the Tobago district, to give us a take on the issues that they would have been able to treat with at that time, and the managing of the district and pulling off get-together to deal with some of those issues. Mr. Rochford.
Thank you, Braden. And of course, it is indeed a pleasure to be a part of this panel in the presence of the icon for this 83rd celebration, Mrs. Moore Allen, and of course, Miss Annette, Henry, who was a part of a significant part, both ladies, of my introduction in terms of the Tobago district at that time. But during that period, Braden, in terms of issues, you had the challenge of people really understanding the role of tutor, in terms of a professional organization, and attempting to professionalize the teaching service, while also, of course, following our core duties and responsibilities, which was industrial relations. You also had the issue of the delinking of the teaching service from the public service, and at the same time the reunification, where you what we call now Schedule 3 persons would be back with the teachers. So you had that issue, and that delinking issue was critical, because it demanded some changes. One of the significant changes was how we treated the negotiations, and that was using having a job evaluation done. So you had those issues at that time. It was really a heated period, really an interesting time. And being a part of the district, chairing the district during that time, really allowed you to interact with the teachers. And what I've recognized in terms of the teachers get together, using the opportunities provided by the teachers get together, which allowed you to speak directly to teachers, to collaborate with them, and also to have at that time the support of your national officers and the other districts from Trinidad. So while the camaraderie was taking place, whether it be all fours or whether it be some sporting activity or whether it be just a lime, what you had was the discussions of the day taking place, and it provided an opportunity for our teachers in Tobago to be exposed even more to treating with some of those challenges. But I think as chairman, one of the major things I recognized was that teachers like you to meet them where they are. So you were, at that time, Annette and Rosalind, remember our journeys to schools, as district members, being led by a DFO, and those things. We visited schools. And when you visited schools, it wasn't just your chairman or your DFO. It was sometimes 5 or 6 of us, because we're visiting the schools, and the idea was to convince the teachers, including our principals, because we had in those days some principals who didn't identify with tutor at all. So you had to treat with those issues, and at times we became very militant. You're looking at these two ladies sitting down here, and they look quite, calm, but I learned some militance from them, including our deceased persons like our beloved Evelyn James and Naomi Walters. Those persons really taught you. So I was fortunate, Braden, to be young, coming on board, and coming, at that time from Trinidad, and bringing with me my experiences there, but being welcomed warmly by the tutor district, to the point where you were elected to serve as chairman.
Even looking at the list of teams that we have had over the years, in that time under your tenure, we would have had the team through the years coping with diversity in education. So just as you have mentioned, the different issues, the professionalism, how teachers would have dealt with those various things. So that is why, even when I came on board, and I'm pretty young in it, when I came in the district in 2014, I was able to see even at the managing of the get-together, where it is something for teachers to really look forward to. It gives you at least a month or 2 months of that rejuvenation that you need. I think the only thing that is lacking, though, is sometimes you go and we get these energizers and we don't continue the conversation. So I will even want to encourage persons as we get to the development day today, this year, next week, Friday, that, we carry on the conversations, because as we said this year, we're looking at the financial aspect, the health aspect, and the pedagogical aspect of our development and the well-being of our teachers. So yes, as mentioned, we did look at the diversity back in your time, and you had already mentioned the different things that teachers were coping with, the negotiations, the different pedagogy, and the different ideas that principals and teachers would have had back then. As you all would see, each year we try to zero in on those issues and see how best we can assist our teachers at that given time. And yes, it involved us going out to schools. We would have had the pandemic that would have slowed down that a bit, but it is indeed important that as district members, we do go out to the schools and interact with our teachers in such a way where we pull persons back out to our events and our activities. I mean, there was once a time where persons believed that we will come and we will sign early at the development day and we head out. But of late, we have seen where persons are staying on, and it shows growth in the get-together and the impact that it's having on our teachers. And as we transition, we move from the 2010 and we move into the 2011, the 2012, and the 2013 under Miss Henry, to my right, who seems to not be aging at all. Since I would have met her in the district, I'm seeing the same smile on her face, so whatever she is doing, it is working for her. I hope you share the secret when I hand over to you. But just give us an insight as you transition into 2011, 2012. What were some of the things that we really looked at, and how get-together preparation was to treat with some of those issues?
Thank you, Tobago officer, Mr. Bergman Roberts. In my time, in my era, I came into tutor at the time when tutor became the legal union for teachers in 1980. And as teachers, they said the issues that went before are the same issues that we are dealing with today. For example, salaries, yes, we got an increase, but teachers are still not well paid for what they are doing. We had problems with working conditions. Although the schools have been, the environment has been improved, you still have cramped classes. You have furniture that are termite ridden. You have students, special needs students who were in the classroom with the regular teachers, and teachers knew nothing about special ed. So there is need for training. Every teacher should be exposed to special ed so that they will be able to treat with the children to ensure that no child would be left behind. Added to that, we have limited involvement in teachers in planning the curriculum. The curriculum is handed down to you. Many times might be 2 or 3 teachers who might be on the committee. And oftentimes, it does not cater for teachers. So I would suggest that in going forward, the Ministry of Education, who is responsible, right? We have THA, but in going forward, I believe that teachers should be more involved in the curriculum planning because they are the ones who are interfacing with the children. Also, we have lack of resources, which is very important to execute the job of teachers. These resources are needed. Concrete resources are needed so that you can get the children to activate or motivate them in learning. So, as the saying goes, the same issues that were before still is there today. Also, we have the physical plant has been upgraded, but what about the technology? We are in the era of technology, and we believe that we should come on board so that our children would be given equal opportunity to learn. Also, I think non-contact time for planning. Teaching is a hard, really hard vocation. And in order for teachers to execute their job, they must be given contact time to plan. They must be given contact time to plan, non-contact time to plan. Teachers have families, and it's unfair to them to take home the work of the school, which would interfere with their family life. So I'm urging the persons in charge to ensure that our teachers have non-contact time, which would resonate in upgrading or even the children learning better. In terms of the district, lack of volunteering, we still have that. People would come into the union in the district and they are very helpful and motivating and so on, but in terms of taking up leadership position, they shy away from it. So I'm encouraging teachers. This is a legacy. I'm encouraging teachers to get on board. The young teachers, get on board, because this is our union, and in order for it to grow, we have to be part of it. Thank you.
And quite fitting ending to your submission, as you know, I would not have been who I am today if it wasn't for the development I would have been involved in tutor. So from 2014 to 2023, I have, to me, matured much more than I would have expected to. So it is really beneficial for us not to just be a part, but to really get involved. And you would have mentioned the curriculum and teachers having an active role. And it's instructive where you have, under your tenure, we had a tutors team would have been the 72nd in 2012, empowering educators to facilitate a 21st century curriculum. The year just after, we looked at teacher efficacy, taking action towards becoming effective managers. And we would have had the likes of Devon Anston, a former president, and we had Mr. Danishwa Mahabir to go through as feature speakers for those topics, respectively. Now, we look at the issues. We look at what the district is expected to do, what comprise the district in addressing some of those issues. Now, let's go a little deeper now as to what preparation really looks like. Because, you know, we, as teachers, we show up at the event and we sit down and we see the production and, you know, either we chair or we find little things to pick at, but we leave with a lot, not understanding what the district members and the supporters would have gone through trying to have this event pull off successfully. So as we, and you know, I was listening to the submissions. We are discussing the transition, but it's like the more things change, they stay the same because it's the same issues. However, I wouldn't denounce the progress that is being made, but it feels as if we are in that same space, but it's context. So, Ms. Moore, please, how was preparation like?
Thank you, Rita. Well, way back then, preparation was exciting. There was excitement, but it required early planning. We had to start very early. We met weekly, had discussions, do brainstorming, things like that, you know. Then we started delegating responsibility to different persons, you know. Like you would be working with the retirees, you would be the one responsible for following up with the feature speaker and things like that. We spread out the work, although the committee, you know, wasn't very large, but we delegated areas of responsibility so that we can execute effectively. Now, all principals long ago used to be invited, and their staff, principal and staff, used to be invited to get together. So we had those set of invitations to handle. Then all, I emphasize, all retirees used to be, we had the listing, we had the records, we kept the records. And so the invitations were printed and we would send that. That alone was a task by itself, put in a mailbox, had to get on to others, things like that. You know, the Division of Education partnered with us as we went along, but preparing for Get Together was exciting. I can remember some of the presenters. We sort of looked for those with a Tobago connection, like Dr. Carol Keller. I don't know many of the younger teachers know Dr. Carol. Yes, he was working at the university. The year that Honorable Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson, we brought him that year. And one of the strategies from that was that we're going to get free advertisement because the office of the Prime Minister, you know, whatever. So we were strategic in who we brought, what topics we chose, and things like that, you know. Now, what I had liked about the old get-together, or the early years, where we used to call 1T tutor, before double T tutor came on board, before Trinidad joined us, the 1T tutor, where the older teachers, when I came in, I met teachers like two sisters from Bethel, Hetty Rowley, Telman Hetty Rowley, and Mr. Burnett, and other folks, you know. What I had liked about that get-together then was the single signal activity on the Tobago landscape, believe it or not. Yes, it was. Because it was all embracing. We sought for a balance. Yes, we addressed pedagogical issues, We discussed bread and butter issues as it related to industrial relation, whatever. We always had a spiritual component that was never left out. We used to go to a church, a building, a church structure, even though we had a church, but we went to like Scarborough Methodist or RC or whatever. So that spiritual component was there. So there was balance. There was the spiritual component, there was the pedagogical issues being addressed, there was the social issues. So after the morning session with the prayers and we have the formalities and that day with the feature address, the Thursday and all of that, we would prepare for the following day, the Friday, which was professional activity. But what I observed or what I remembered about that Friday, we started off having great attendance. The venues were small, like Fairfield. I remember we used in Fairfield and things like that. And, sometimes we almost ran out of seating and that sort of thing. But then over the years, it started to dwindle, the Friday attendance. And so we had to be strategic again and introduce attendance register, because we were threatened by division then that they're going to withhold the day from us because teachers were not making full use of the day. And I remember, I must call his name, God rest his soul, Rennie Stretch Dumas. Yeah, he was a formidable chairman. And he sort of took the fight, he led the fight. And we really had to make out a strong case why teachers should be allowed a day to come together and to sit and discuss and work through and masticate the issues, And eventually they relented and we were given the Friday. Well, as you hear, because it's 83 years, it's an institution. By now it's an institution and people take it for granted. Oh, in any case, we got to get the Friday home and I would use it to do other things. But we fought hard and long for that day. But as one of the events we did get together, I said socially, one of the events, Sir Rochford spoke about beach lime, after the Friday seminar, beach lime or fet match. I remember windball cricket and things like that. The signal event among the other events was our gala on a Saturday. Yes, it was a gala. Teachers came out in their splendor, attired very beautifully. I remember we had one in Radisson's Tobago. We had a Radisson's hotel down in the Crown Point area there, and that year was quite interesting. And so that gala, that grand affair where it was dinner, entertainment, and dance, couples became married partners out of it. And yes, that event, we looked forward to with great anticipation and great joy. And I spoke with some older teachers before coming here, and they said that gala affair for them, stood out. That was it. They remember the dancing. Yeah, Mr. Carrington, although he was director of school supervision, they let their hat down and great camaraderie, So those were the good days back then.
Yes.
Together.
And it's fun in hard work, because I'm hearing you speaking, but not of being tired, because having the development day and have to go and plan for the gala, and it's the same group of persons having to run home to go and do additional stuff and so on. Now, Mr. Rochford and Miss Henry, you all could chime in at any point in time because you all were pretty close together. Now, when I came on, I would have gotten the last year that you would have been chairman. I know sometimes you're there 10 o'clock in the night, 11 o'clock in the night, trying to get the tokens wrapped and packaged and so on. So give us a little insight into that and, the teamwork of being in the district, and sometimes it helps you as a teacher develop event planning skills and so forth, so.
the word event planning, because that's a course now that people pay to do. But I think, I often say to persons that my experience in tutor of functioning at the various levels that I did, you could not and still cannot get that kind of exposure and knowledge in any university, because it allows you to interact with so many different persons in so many different ways, and coming out of that you gain wisdom. So that planning for teachers get together, the planning would start months before, and as it gets closer to the date, you would increase in terms of your meeting times, yes. And it's good to have a companion or, a wife who's also a teacher, at least for me in those circumstances, because she knew where I was in terms of those days, and because you know the time would run, because you have things that you need to do, and it's not you alone, but the team is there, the people who would have committed to doing this, and normally it's a core group that will come down to that committee, as Rosalind would have indicated earlier. But there was really a lot of excitement in putting it together. And I remember particularly during a year of my chairmanship, we had the Hilton coming on board. And that year we decided, because the event was growing and outgrowing those spaces that we had, and Hilton came with this new space that could accommodate. So we had to negotiate with the management of the hotel to have that Thursday function, which is that opening, and your dinner and thing there. It attracted a lot of teachers because it was this new place, negotiating. We did some good negotiating, because the price we got it at was really good. We had some memories after. I remember having really to have dinner in the kitchen because of the space, the amount of persons. But at the end, you learned that you were serving your fellow teachers, and you were doing so. While doing so, at the leadership positions you are, you were developing the kind of virtues and values that go along with servant leadership. And at the end, when the event was really successful, you felt that sense of accomplishment, because you brought you were part of an opportunity where people really from Trinidad and Tobago, professionals, everybody. At the time, I recall the kind of business that the teaching service brought to Tobago, because everybody is a new dress, it's new shoes, it's new this, it's new that. So people, there were stores that would prepare in terms of their orderings and stuff for that time. Yeah, so I think that the event itself, as indicated by Mrs. Moore Allen, was the signal event, and we have the capacity to bring it back to that. Though we compete with a lot of other things now, but because it's unique to teachers and to teaching, I think we have that opportunity, and we must continue to work towards ensuring that this institution, that is the Tobago Teachers Get Together, 83 years, and not many things survive that long. And continue to grow in terms of being that signal event. Yeah.
Permit me to.
Sure.
Yes, as Philip said, we learned as we went along. As he brought up the question about event planning. But what I learned coming out of Get Together was a year we were at Fairfield Complex, and Dr. Isla Mackenzie, we all know her, all right, on the Tobago landscape. And she chaired that Get Together that year. And the theme was something to do with entertainment. And she did what she had to do, and the speaker did what they had to do, and she challenged us. She said, all right, entertainment. Let me see you teachers get into action. And she just handpicked, boom, 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 and she called out persons from, teachers in attendance there. And she called me. And she said, all right, so you all would entertain us now get into some extempo. And boy, I said, wow, why is she putting me through this? I have never done it. So you learned about event planning. I mean, I learned some, I said, but I learned extempo. So here, Joe, four of us. I remember Kenneth Bob was part of that thing that she selected, you know. And so we're on the stage now. And them fellas start to strum up and ting with the chant humanity. So I said, what am I going to say? I don't know how to pull these ideas together, how to think on my feet. So my opening line, I can't remember everything I said, but I take in front. Yeah, my opening line. I am the one they call the Duncy. Da, 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 da. So I prefaced whatever I wanted to say with that. I said, if a boss, they don't know I say I'm the Duncy one. So, no, I could never forget. I said, Lord. So I learned to extempo, you know, along with other skills that we were forced to just bring to bear. Get together was really fun and excitement and, you know.
And there's a lot that we learn by participating. And I just want to bring that back because Ms. Henry would have indicated, you know, we volunteer and we believe, well, I ain't getting paid for it, so I will do just this. But when you put your heart and your soul in it, there is so much that you learn, so much fun and joy you get out of it. And there is joy in working hard, you know.
Yes, because if I may, Miss Henry, I remember Miss Henry served as treasurer for a period of time under my chairmanship. And you couldn't ask for a more astute treasurer. You were reminded very politely to ensure that you have your bills ready, right? And you will be reminded about your bills and your receipts. And when it's time to present treasurer's report, you got your detailed report. So you learned structures, and it wasn't only about you giving of the time, but in giving of the time, what you were gaining was a level of exposure in many different areas that would serve you well, you know, after. So I would encourage persons to get involved, because I have never walked away, in a sense, from the union. Wherever I am, in whatever capacity, I've always been involved at some level, so that you keep the thing going, and encourage others. Yeah.
And even in bringing in new Miss Henry, I know we spoke about what it really takes, but another major part is having stakeholders on board. We mentioned Hilton, but other sponsors coming on board and actually doing those letters, approaching persons. It's not just sitting in the office and planning and packaging stuff, but it's actually going and visiting establishments and so on. So give us a little insight. Yes, thanks.
One of the first things we had to do in terms of that was to prepare our proposal for Central X, to send it to Central X to be passed. If it doesn't pass, they will send it back, and then you have to rectify it.
Yes.
All right? So Tutor was one of our main sponsors. Other than Tutor, we had Division of Education. We had to send a detailed program for the Tobago House of Assembly Education to give us some monies. Also, we went to corporate citizens such as insurance. We went to business places, and to ensure that they supported us, we had them bringing in their booths to advertise their products. Added to that, we, the members of the district, we journeyed to schools. We did invitation for the retirees present and past retirees. Also, every teacher was given an invitation to ensure that they be part of the activity. They were invited. The DFO, which is the district field officer, the executive members, we journeyed to school. I remember selling tickets for the dinner. I go to school. I was afforded. Yes.
Yeah.
I would go to school until many people would meet me now and call me the tutor lady. Yeah. Because when get together comes around, I am in every school to sell tickets for the dinner. Also, we forgot our concerts. Remember, we used to do concert, and the last concert we had was with Mr. Clifton Winchester at Scarborough Sec, and we sang the song "Living is a Dream." He was an excellent choir master. He was an excellent choir master. Added to that, we had magistrates, we had people coming, lawyers, and so those people were coming because it was a signature project in Tobago, and everybody came along, elegantly dressed. I loved the dance and the dinner. Oh, I love dancing. So you know I will go all out to advertise our dinner and dance. What we need to do today is encourage our teachers to be passionate. You have to have the passion for get together. All right, and in order for us to sell and keep this legacy, we have to bring in more teachers. We have to encourage our young teachers to be part of this august body. Tutor, your union, our union is an excellent organization. It teaches you skills. I remember I never liked to face the public, but getting involved in tutor, I was forced to get into the leadership position.
You're in a panel now.
And I am on a panel now. I remembered I never wanted to talk to the public because you see, teachers, you affect children. When I was going to school, I love mathematics. And one day my teacher did a problem on the board. And my colleagues didn't understand his method. So I put up my hand and I said, "Sir, I have another way." He said, "Come on." I went up on the board and I did the problem. And the children said, "Yes, we understand. Sir, we prefer her method." And then at the end of it all, my teacher said, "You spoke loud and said nothing." You could imagine how it burst my bubble. So, as teachers, we have to be careful how we make children feel.
Yes. So it is one thing that we get from our interactions, and now where we have WhatsApp, so could just send a message, you'd have that interaction where you would have met a lot of persons actually going to the schools and selling the tickets, because I remember even like Majimo Carrington and Claudette Governor and Verlin John, when I'm at Methodist school, every time get together comes around, that's the team passing. So everybody had to buy a ticket because they have that kind of drive. And as I said, when I joined, would have been under your time, so they would have gotten that spirit, I believe, from your leadership and so forth. But getting out and actually interacting, it develops you in such a great way. And one thing I'm getting from you as well, the passion that teachers had nothing to do with how they were treated, They portrayed how they view themselves and the standards that they have for themselves. And I think that's one thing that we need to be able to put forward and not just depend on the Division of Education to value us. We valuing ourselves. And we could get back into have those business places prepare for us because we come out dance for get together and so forth. So we need to kind of push that energy and not get too subsumed in the ills of the society now and the economic hardship, and so we can't adequately prepare. And as I say to many persons, portray who you are, not what you persons would want to say you are, what persons think of you. So get together is really the avenue. In the planning phase of it develop those who are involved. So I would encourage those who have been looking on and want to be a part of, you can be a part of the district, or you can indicate to the chairman you want to be a part of the planning, so that we can all work together in developing each other and then present something that is developmental for the wider membership and teachers.
Yes, Braden. Although we are technologically savvy these days, I still believe that personal contact, has something to do with the turnout. You have to motivate teachers. Let them know that it is important. It is our thing. So we have to support it. If we don't support it, no one else will. And it is a legacy. 83 years.
Yes.
Come on, teachers. Come out come out and support
And as we
the
talk about
district.
the 83 years, and even myself as a former chairman, I know the current chairman is watching on. Do you believe that we have kept the standard? You know, how has tutor carried that flag from before your time, through your time, and even now? And as you address that, what are some of the things you would like to see us improve on? Any taker?
That personal touch.
The personal touch.
Personal touch. Our retirees, please, the present and the past. Just before I came here, a retiree called me. What is going on for Get Together? And I said, I am going to a webinar now. When I get back, I will inform you. Because he is interested in the all fours and the sports, you know, and the camaraderie, the welcome line that we have for our Trinidadian counterparts. There was camaraderie, the eating and the social and the games. Let us bring back that. And the togetherness. Because I have been to some of the gatherings, and that togetherness, people pulling no, let us come together. You see, groups will just go in one side, and no, let us participate, intermingle with one another. Let the old people feel important. Let us all feel important, not just for the young people. All of us belong to the union. It is the foundation. We are the foundation, and we need to feel wanted. All right, so you consult us, collaborate with us.
And really and truly, the purpose of Get Together is to celebrate ourselves. Right? We need to celebrate teachers and not depend on others to celebrate us. So I take your point on board.
Yeah, teaching is such a noble profession, and we pride ourselves as being professionals. So really and truly, you know, as teachers, we all, old and young, those past and those still in service, we really need to get on board, you know, keep the professionalism alive. As we said, you know, it allows for a number of varied activities that would just make us better persons and, you know, and impact society on a whole. So as professionals, we want to maintain that. I want to tell the teachers, the current teachers, don't let the institution of Tobago Teachers Get Together die. Not after 83 years. We have come too far. And so, you know, they need to get on board, continue the work that was started by our early ones who served, you know. And they have to remember that the children are the future, and they hold the future in their hands. They are molding and shaping lives. So it is very important that, you know, as teachers, that we continue to nurture the children, you know, cherish them, love. You see, love, it is important. We really have to love the children as our very own, as we continue to love ourselves and raise our standards and things like that. We need to love the children. I'm appealing to the younger teachers, you know, do your best, come out and get involved. And remember, we must empower our charges. We have to empower them to live in this technological age. And it's a challenging era overall, worldwide, that we're living in. So many, you know, sad and challenging things seem to be happening. So all in all, we have to empower them so that they could face the future. And the teachers have to remain relevant so they could impact this generation. I want to congratulate our colleagues who come from Trinidad. They are really supportive, really supportive. And they come and they interact. And when there's group discussion, you know, we learn from them, they learn from us, because iron sharpens iron. So it is, you know, you have everything to learn. You learn to socialize better, you learn other skills you didn't know, you learn new things from policy level and things from those who come, because all the executive members of tutor are usually present and things like that. So it is an occasion, it is our occasion. Once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. It is our thing, you know. And, you know, the retired teachers just love to attend, get together, you know, and you know, you smile with grace pleasingly when you see the others, there would have been some. We used to use Zelma Cowie as like a chairperson. And I didn't know some of the other teachers who were so very vociferous and could speak in a public space, articulate so well and things like that. And all the years coming after in the recent past, going together, my eyes are just open and I'm saying, wow, teachers are really just resourceful and valuable and critical to the whole process of child development.
And even speaking to your current call now, that's why we have the team. It's a comprehensive agenda this year. And as we know, as teachers, you could only pour from a cup that has something in it. So we are hoping to address the health, give health tips. Sometimes we are so bogged down into the work that we're not even we're aware or conscious of the harm that we are bringing to our own body. Sometimes we're sitting for long and we're planning work, correcting books. And we need to have ways in which our teachers are active in a way where they are healthy. We also need to give the teachers the advice into the financial well-being, because the economy is getting a little tough. It has been getting tough for some time. Teachers, they spend a lot back in the job, unlike plenty other professions.
Yes.
So that little advice and so on is something that teachers could look forward to. And the pedagogical well-being and the development, we need to also develop that, because we do need reform, And we have the old way of teaching when students are getting that interest in other things, the technology. I heard Miss Henry talk about the technology and so forth. So we need to have the avenue to develop those things, and it is something to look forward to coming to the get-together this year. But Mr. Rochford, I know as supervisor, you would have been there at all of our get-together activities. What a bit of encouragement for the district, the current district, and for the wider membership and teachers?
Well, in terms of the current district, I don't envy the persons who sit in the district now after being part of that signing recently, in terms of the 4% and the disappointment that would have been generated throughout. But in spite of that, I think what we need to do is to look at the things that have worked for us. Because we are in a cycle, and we would have all indicated, I think you yourself as host would have indicated earlier in the discussions, that it seemed to be, even though it's different times, but the same kind of space. So I'm suggesting that we outreach. We do an outreach to teachers, because what we recognize is that we depended heavily on technology. In sending the nice WhatsApp, you open it and the thing pops up and you get a nice look. But the touch, that interaction, that personal interaction, that sense of you, the teacher, recognizing that my executive or members of my executive would have taken the time out to come to my school or to whatever, or to organize a meeting, and specially invite us so that we can, the district can share the information. We have to get back on our legs and get back out into the district in order to motivate and build that interest once again in both the union, in terms of the district, to provide that district support, as well as in terms of the teachers get together. And the teachers get together is 83 years old. And there has to be something that we would have been doing good to have this thing existing for that time. So it's a matter of looking, as we are doing now, at the things that worked, and selecting those things and utilizing them in order to build that interest. I would encourage teachers to not to be totally devastated by what has happened in terms of the negotiations. Okay, we have been there before. We can look back at times. I remember a 0-0-0 under Mr. Garcia. I was in Teachers College at the time. Got very much involved in the college representative body at the time, and was part of protest, shut down the college, all sorts of things we did at Valsine during that time. And we moved from that into a period where we were delinked, and our salaries went up the road, and so life is a circle. But and there would come a time is that we would be a little better off than 4%. And as I want to agree with you, Braden, we are worth much more than the 4%. So don't put it in that context. But let's look at supporting our union, looking at the issues, and challenging those who lead us to keep the standards moving up and up. It's your responsibility and your duty as a member, paying member of tutor, to challenge the people who lead you, and ensure that they keep the standards moving and that they respond to you. So it's a matter of not depending only on the technology, but a matter of going out there and meeting teachers where they are, particularly in this time. I would also want to indicate that we have an event that can generate funds in terms of our economy, so that marketing of this activity, I think we need to get back to that point where we really focus on marketing, focus on partnering, with the various businesses that we have, and to show where we would have led. In fact, I stand to be corrected, but as far as I recall, Tutor and the Tobago Teachers Get Together led the way in honoring retirees. That started with us, and then we at the division came on board a little later on, encouraged by Tutor. And at those times when the division was unable to do it on a yearly basis, Tutor continued to do it, and people look forward to that. So that there are ways in which we would have led in terms of Tutor and the Teachers Get Together. And so those are areas we should not just cast aside, but continue to work to lead and to market this institution that is the Tobago Teachers Get Together, in order for it to continue to grow. Yeah, those are my things.
So much work.
Most of the issues that our union put forward came from the Teachers Get Together, the professional days. Yes,
came out of the professional days. Yes,
in terms of sabbatical leave and so on, getting a grant and getting UTT to come to Tobago.
Yes, and went
because
into
of the experience, the hardships that Tobagonians experience in Trinidad. It's through the Tobago Teachers Get Together where our union took up those cases and championed the call with the Division of Education and THE.
I mean, as I sit in the seat I sit now, and Braden, you would know, because I mean, we have our monthly meetings. The division is very open to working with the union in order to continue to develop teachers at all levels. So it's a matter of really just working it out, of marketing it, of working together. Because just as the saying is, that saying, a happy wife, a happy life, a happy teacher, a happy division. And we good to go. Yeah.
And I must say, working with the division now, we are seeing progress, but sometimes, as I say to teachers, some issues are added faster than the issues are coming off. So we feel like if much isn't happening, but a lot is happening. And I know that the division is also preparing in a big way to be a part of the Get Together this year. So I know that some of our issues will then be ventilated further in our question and answer segment and our open forum, as mentioned a short while ago, where we have that opportunity. So I want to encourage all teachers, come out and be a part. Actively listen and actively pay attention and participate in our Get Together this year, our 83rd. And as was said throughout, we have been doing a good job throughout the years, and it could only be further improved with your participation.
To add to that, I want to tell the teachers, like the TTPSR, get on board. Get on board with Tobago Teachers Get Together. We can only get better.
Yes, it is.
And before I close, however, we have an important election coming up. Our voting that is taking place on Monday the 5th, our agency shop order, where persons will be let me be positive, where persons will be voting for agency shop on the 5th, that's Monday coming, which would allow the association to be further strengthened, where all persons in the profession, in the teaching profession, would contribute to the association, and where it would give us that power to make a more meaningful impact. For persons who maybe have the belief that, tutoring do nothing for me, sometimes we stay in a corner and don't get involved and tap into all the things that tutor doing for you. So you see, only going out to get the sponsors and getting sponsorship from the division and head office to do the get together, that's your time to come in and get from tutor. The sporting activities, the development sessions, the professional advancement sessions that we have for schools, that's your opportunity to get involved and be a part of tutor. So the agencyship order is not something where we should look at, but if I want to drop out, what I some of the question, you should never want to drop out of a union. In one instance, a union is like an insurance. You never know when something is going to happen to you. Now, we believe that I'm a good teacher, I don't give any trouble. But you could be on a field trip. Something happens to a student in your care. The parent is blaming you for negligence. You need representation. Now, what happens now? A lot of teachers, they will call and want to pay up 2 months to try and get representation, but that's not in our policy now. So we are asking you all, beside the IR matters representing you, we have other benefits. So it's not just a vote for the agency shop, those who are non-members, but to also become members and get full membership and get full benefits of the association. So again, teachers, be prepared on the 5th, that's Monday coming, to vote for the agency shop. You need to check your FAC accounts to ensure that you get the election when it's issued. And again, as we close here, I thank you all. Go ahead.
Before you close, this agency shop has been long in waiting, and teachers who are not in the union are enjoying the benefits. So come on board, teachers, vote for the agency shop so that we'll have more money to do more things as a union for you. We can make it if we try according to the famous Calypsonian who? Black Stalin. Come on board, teachers. It is our thing. I am still a teacher, even though I'm retired. I'm still a teacher. So come on board because I'm supporting the union all the way. Come on board, teachers.
Come on board, together we are stronger.
Excellent.
Yes, indeed.
So your union be true.
Yes. Yeah. To tutor
Right.
be true.
So as we close off this first segment of having our webinar discussing the genesis and the transition, we will have seen where persons who would have worked in the early 80s, they are still here championing the call for teachers to be given the best. So we know we cannot disappoint our retirees. So where we heard the call, we need to involve them a little more. I know the chairman is listening, so yes, we'll be out there ensuring that all the retirees who we may not have reached thus far, we'll be able to get on to them before next week, where they will be able to be a part of the other activities. I know in the previous times, now we're having the recordings, so retirees will be able to see some of the things that would have gone by. But again, panelists, Mr. Rochford, I know you have a busy job. We have our retirees who seem to be a little active. They're not down in the slums and so on. They're not aging at all. So I know that you all have the different activities that you all have take time to come out and be a part of this discussion where we enlighten teachers, we enlighten our members as what it really takes to really pull out or pull forward and get together and celebrate teachers. And not just celebrate, but add to the further development where we address issues. It's so compact that it needs a lot of work, and I want to encourage persons to come on board and be a part of your union, not just a member.
That's right. Thank you.